This program brought to you by eChoice, helping thousands of Australians find the right home loan since 1998.
Hello and welcome to Money Talks. I'm Peter Switzer. Tonight we shine the spotlight on the Melbourne Cup. Kicking off the show, we have Tom Waterhouse, the former bookie turned tipster, whose new business has the cup test put upon it tomorrow. And Tom will give us his best for the big race. Bell Direct's Julia Lee will give us her good oil on what are the best gambling stocks on the stock market. And we meet the entrepreneur who's putting his luxury brand together with the Spring Carnival to position the business to be a first past the post winner. The man is James Kennedy from the Kennedy Luxury Group. Now, earlier today, I caught up with Tom Waterhouse at the call of the card where the big bets are levied at the bookies at Crown Towers. Let's just see who he likes for the Cup. So, Tom, is this an important day for the Waterhouse family and business?
It's a great day because it's obviously the day before Melbourne Cup, but it's the day the bookies bet pretty big. So most days, a normal Saturday, you might be able to back things to win between maybe $5,000 and $10,000, where every bookie that comes to the call of the card, they've got a bet to win at least a minimum of $100,000. So you can get set for a lot more than what you can normally get set for. Okay,
so have you ever been actually on the stage accepting this? Because you weren't today.
The first year that I came down here in 2008, I lost $2 million on Derby Day and came to the call of the card. It was my first call of the card, and I had all of a few big clients. I booked a table for them, and they wanted to back their horse to win $2 million. So I'd already lost $2 million on the Saturday, and then standing them at the call of the card to lose another couple of million. What's hard about the call of the card working there is that when you take big bets on a race day, it's over within 20 minutes. But taking big bets where the race is the next day, it's a sleepless, sweaty night. It's no good. But luckily, I got through that call of the card okay and won some of the money back from the Derby Day.
Okay, so is this the first year you've been here not as a bookmaker?
No, I worked a couple of years as a bookie, and then the call of the card, then started tomwaterhouse.com, obviously, which was online rather
but I'm saying
and then from sort of 2013 onwards, I've come here as a punter. So backed Gay's horse Fioronte to win a good amount here at call of the card, and a few other winners over the last few years. But yeah, I love coming here as a punter. Punter or bookie, it's great. You're betting up.
But in a sense, you've been in the bookmaking business until this year.
Exactly, I have. Yeah, okay. Since I left school, since first year of university, I've been a bookie until this year.
Okay, so tell us what you're doing now.
Well, so I bought tomwaterhouse.com back as part of the sale of William Hill on the condition that I couldn't be a bookie for 2 years, and so I thought, well, if I can't be a bookie, what should I do? And I thought there's not many people that win betting. It's really hard because obviously the margins in the bookmaker's favour, but there are a few select people that win a lot of money betting. And I thought there's three key ingredients. Firstly, you've got to have the right form, but you've got to also know how much to have on the horses, and you've got to get on at the best price. But most people don't know that. And I thought, well, why don't I start up a subscription business, a membership where you can become a member, and I talk them through how to win actually betting, and how to look for the right selections, how much to have on them, and where to get the best price. And it's tough. It takes a lot of work to be a winning punter, and a lot of discipline. You have to stake correctly, and you have to be relentless about getting at the top of the market. But I didn't know if maybe 5 people were interested or a lot more, and it surprised me how many people are interested in how to learn how to win betting. And yeah, it's been really exciting, and it's a very different dimension to be on the other side. I've gone from the dark to the light in terms of being on the punter's side to try and beat the bookie.
But Saturday afternoon, still a pressure day for you, even though you're not a bookmaker?
Being a bookie, it was conditioning. I worked with my grandfather for years, and he was the biggest bookie in the world, and so he conditioned me to learn how to lose. If I lost $2 million on a day, you could stomach it because you'd worked up to that over a 10-year, 15-year period. But when you've got members come on board and you have, because you're always going to have winning days and losing days, you really feel, well, because you haven't tipped as many winners on a particular day, that they've had a losing day. And trying to show them that it's not about one day, it's over a long period of time, staking correctly, making sure you understand your betting bank, and never chasing your losses. It's actually a lot more pressure because you've got a lot more people riding on how you go rather than if you have a losing day or a winning day. but it's really enjoyable. It's nice to be able to be with your members and cheer on the big wins also.
Yeah. So how are you getting people to trust this new bet tipping company?
So obviously I wouldn't put my name to something unless I truly believe we could win, as long as they follow the rules that we give, that they'll show a positive return. But my main package that most people join is that you get a money back guarantee. So if our tips don't show a positive performance over the first 28 days of being a member, we just give the subscription money back. And it allows people to come and try it, and if it doesn't work, well, they can say, well, this wasn't for me, but I'll get my subscription money back if the tips are no good, and if they're good, then they're happy, as long as they follow the staking plan. And that requires discipline, because it's easy through the day and go, oh, well, I know Tom likes this, but I like this also. You've actually got to stick to the tips, stick to the staking plan, and get on at the best price. And that's hard. It's you say to someone, don't eat too much, or don't drink, or don't smoke. Discipline is hard to do in whatever you're looking at, and it's the same with betting and punting. You've got to have discipline to make sure you do it correctly. And if you can do it, then you can turn the odds that are against you, that the bookie have got in their favour, to being in your favour.
Is it difficult to teach a customer that kind of betting discipline? Because at the end of the day, if they don't follow your rules and systems, you can't, in a sense, even offer them the money back guarantee. I think that's been one of the challenges, because, and we've evolved in trying to make it easier to communicate to a large membership base of this is how you do it. So, for instance, in the tips each week we say, well, look, these are all the tips for Derby Day, but out of your betting bank you're only outlaying 8.6% of your betting bank. So if your betting bank's $1,000, worst case scenario, you can only lose $86 today. And this is, you have to look for this price, you have to take this price from this bookie, you have to do this, and just constant communication. Customer service is the key thing with the membership base, because they have to, if they're going to do it over the long term, they have to learn these lessons, otherwise they won't win. And if you don't consistently take top of the market, you're not going to win betting. I don't know any professional punter that doesn't get a rebate off the totes, that doesn't take top of the market consistently. All right, Tom, that's you in your day job. What about your own personal investments? How does Tom Waterhouse invest outside of the betting and the gambling game? Look, where do I invest? If I'm not in property, US tech stocks I've sort of stuck onto, but most of the money that I have, I like putting into businesses that I'm running. I think it's much easier. We've got a huge advantage when it comes to horse racing, and in that we've got a detailed database, understand how winning punters bet, who are the winning punters, where the money's going. It's much easier. The returns that we can get in horse racing are far superior than following an index, US index stock or an Asia index stock, you know. But for passive investment, property and those large stocks, well, you don't have to think about them as much. But for me, I like investing in my own businesses and investing in racing and betting, because I understand that better than most people. What about Bitcoin? Have you ever been interested in Bitcoin? It's a speculator. The thing that was amazing with Bitcoin is that in 2000, you would never think that the biggest bookies in the world, such as Ladbrokes and William Hill, could be disrupted. And then you saw a company called Bet365 come along and become the biggest betting company in the world. And that was really because the internet enabled them to leapfrog the other competitors. They came out with an in-play product, and they did an amazing job from sort of early 2000s to now. And then 2013, 2014, we saw especially a shift in Asia, where the largest betting companies in the world were companies that I'd never heard of before. And their point of difference wasn't they had better user experience, wasn't they had a better mobile app, they weren't doing marketing, digital marketing better. Their only point of difference was that they offered that you could bet using digital currency, whether it was Bitcoin or Litecoin or Monero. And that was amazing. It opened my eyes hugely to that area, and really because it allowed the countries where it was very hard to get money across the border. So if you're in China, it's very hard for you to transfer your Chinese yuan to Australian dollars to bet with an Australian bookmaker. Firstly, the Australian government won't let you do it, and secondly, the Chinese government won't let you do it. Where in cryptocurrency, that flow of money from cross-border and not having to go into fiat currency has enabled these huge flow of money to go to these digital operators. And to think that in a 3-year, 4-year period, the largest operators in the world are cryptocurrency only,
made me realise sort of 2014-ish that this was a real disruptor, similar to what the internet was. And yeah, we've invested in a company with Right-Click Capital, a company called Blockchain Global Holdings, and it invests in different blockchain assets, and one of them is a wholesale index fund, which is the first wholesale index fund with Australian financial service licence in Australia, Australian bank accounts, and really trying to allow high net wealth investors here, rather than having to go and spend a few hours buying Bitcoin or buying Litecoin or buying these different cryptocurrencies and having to spend the time putting their money into an exchange and doing your KYC and all of that sort of stuff, they can just buy a unit in our wholesale fund and get exposure to the top 20 blockchain assets. And we really believe that space will grow, because we've seen, it's funny, gambling and bookmaking, it often leads the way. It's one of those industries that sort of, you see whether it's with the internet, mobile adoption, advertising, the way digital marketing, advertising, you see a lot of stuff, and blockchain has really disrupted our space. So yeah, we've invested in that, but yeah. Okay,
so let's get to the big one. What about your tips for tomorrow? You seek out your dad's advice when it comes to the Cup, apart from...
Well, he's a genius at the Cup, Rob. He spends a lot of time on it. He understands the overseas form, and so I always love to sit down and ask him, well, how do you see these overseas runners, and how do you see the market playing? He's also an on-course bookmaker as well, so he really has a feel how that Cup market's going to play out. And yeah, he's a genius. Well, he's been a winning punter for 38 years, and he's never had a losing quarter. So
extraordinary.
Yeah, he's
okay. So what's he like?
Look, back to Rostropovich to win $1 million just now at the call of the card. Took slight under the odds, took $26, $31 was an offer, and the reason I took the $26 was that to get on for that type of volume is tough outside of the call of the card. I think it'll be around that $26 mark tomorrow. I think it's got a great chance. I think Avilius, I think it's got also great chance backed it to win $500,000. And again, I think it'll be around that price at $13 tomorrow. Back cross counter to win $100,000. Prince of Iran backed to win $150,000, and Marmelo backed it to win $200,000. So really sort of bet around the favourites. Not that I don't think, I think Yucatan and Magic Circle, I think they've got great chances, but it's, I think the bookies will gamble against them, and I think I want to find a bit of value. And I think those horses at those prices have great value, and I don't think they'll be any longer than what I've taken tomorrow, but it's much easier to find a winner in the first at Doomben than it is race 7 at Flemington.
Thanks for joining us on the program, Tom, and good luck with the Cup.
Thanks, Peter. Thank you.
To win $1 million on the Melbourne Cup, but that's Tom Waterhouse. Coming up after the break, we have Bell Direct's Julia Lee, and she'll look at the hot gambling stock of the week. Welcome back to Money Talks. Well, each week Bell Direct's Julia Lee pinpoints the stock she likes, and this week we're heading to the gambling sector with the Cup doing its best to make us all gamblers for a day, or at least sweepstakes players. Julia, you've been doing your homework. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, Pete. Absolutely. You know, Australians spend a huge $23 billion a year on gambling. And in fact, we're the biggest spenders in the globe when it comes to gambling at $1,250 per adult. So I guess it's quite appropriate we talk about some of the gambling stocks ahead of the Melbourne Cup tomorrow.
Without a doubt. So let's go to your first one.
I guess when we're having a look at the gambling space, there's been a huge divergence in performance. For example, the best performer in terms of those gambling stocks has been a company called Jumbo Interactive. It's up a massive 151%, and I think we have a stock price chart here. Now, the reason it's been doing so well is this is a company that looks at online lotteries, and in fact, Tabcorp has a 12% stake in this business, and mainly it sells Tabcorp Tabcorp's lotteries. Tabcorp's pretty happy with this arrangement though, because it means more lottery sales. And look, recently Jumbo Interactive has also gotten in on the charity raffle and lottery area as well, where it thinks that it can make better margins for some of these charities. So that's going to be a growth area going forward, but that's been a very strong performer. Of course, the biggest risk is, of course, if their agreement with Tabcorp falls apart, so that's a key risk for Jumbo Interactive. But on the other side of the scale, the worst performer in terms of these stocks has been bet makers. That's down 83%. And Pete, I think this highlights the risks of being in this sector. There's a lot of regulatory risk and a lot of taxation as well. And this one is mainly over in the UK. And over in the UK, we're seeing a rise in the remote gaming duty. So that's 15% at present, will probably move up to 21% next year. And also fixed odds betting terminal, instead of being able to bet £100 at a time, you'll only be able to bet £2 at a time. So that's hit the company, bet makers, and some of the other gambling areas. And of course, over in the UK, we've seen Ireland, their betting tax, turnover tax doubling. So there are some risks in this area, but some strong performers as well as some dogs out there.
Okay, so I think you're going to look at a very well-known one, Aristocrat Leisure. How's that company going? Because it was doing fantastically well, then went off, but there's a lot of analysts still really like it.
Look, I think when it comes to the gambling stocks, you can really categorise them in three different areas. One's the electronic area, and you've got Ainsworth as well as Aristocrat Leisure in this area. And these two companies make games for the rest of the globe, basically selling them to different countries. And Aristocrat Leisure in particular, their games have been doing extremely well. They've been in this massive upgrade cycle, and the US is such a huge market for them. It's underpenetrated, and it's still a growth market. So Aristocrat Leisure has been in this beautiful upgrade cycle. An interesting move by Aristocrat Leisure just recently is to move into the online gaming area where you can buy things within games. So I think that could be a structural shift and a growth area within the business. But of course, outside of electronic, you have things like casinos like Crown as well as Star Casino, and you have lotteries and sports betting like Jumbo Interactive as well as Tabcorp. So there's certainly plenty of stocks in this area, but I think my favourite has to be in that casino space, which has been beaten down a little bit over the last 52 weeks, but I think there are some opportunities there.
So what's your favourite casino play?
At the moment, it's a Reef Trust, Reef Casino Trust. RCT is the stock code. As you can see from the stock price, it hasn't really been doing anything, but that's fine for a company like this because it has a very attractive yield of over 8%. In terms of this company, the trust owns the Cairns Casino in North Queensland, and of course, tourism is the second largest export that Australia has. Recently, we have seen the casinos being under a bit of pressure because of what's happening in China and the clampdown that we're seeing. But we are seeing flights to Cairns now normalising, and as spending normalises, I think Reef Casino will be one to benefit there. The thing to remember in terms of risks, though, is that this is a single property, so you have the risks of that. So when property is going up in Cairns in particular, and at the Reef Casino Trust, you get upward revaluation, but of course problems if the property doesn't do so well. But at the moment, it's doing well. Casino Austria owns 42% because they also own the hotel next door with Accor.
Yeah, exactly right. Julia, as always, fantastic insights, and thanks for joining us on the program. And good luck at the races tomorrow. You got a horse running, haven't you?
How did you know, Pete?
You told me last week.
The last race at Randwick.
And what's the name of it?
KAAP Fever. 5:30 p.m.
Good luck.
I think thanks, Pete.
Her horse is running at Randwick, not Melbourne. And coming up, we'll meet an entrepreneur who's placed a big bet on the spring racing carnival. His name is James Kennedy, the executive chairman of Kennedy Luxury Group. Welcome back to Money Talks. In 2009, James Kennedy took reins of his family's business, turning this respected Sydney business into the Kennedy Luxury Group. His company is linked to great brand names as Rolex, Graf, Kenzo, IWC and many more. James has been committed to fast growth, and his involvement with horse racing looks like a big bet. So will it pay off? Welcome to the show, James.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks for having me.
So, James, tell us exactly what it is the Kennedy Luxury Group does.
So Kennedy Luxury Group is really a parent company that was set up to manage a portfolio of brands. So we have really two main drivers in our business, which include Kennedy, which is our watch and jewellery business, and we also have the Kennedy Fashion Collective, which is actually a rather newly established group, but a newly established company that looks after some licensing and distribution deals in the fashion and lifestyle space.
How do you actually nail an exclusive deal with some of these big brands?
Well, look, I think it comes down to, I guess, recognising opportunity and looking, I guess, for demand in the market. I think, in particular,
but you've got to impress these people, haven't you? You're going to Italians or Germans or whatever they are, and you have to impress them that you're going to be the main man to make it work in this country.
And I think, that has a lot to do with the level of service and experience that we're giving our customers. Obviously, having a great group of brands under our portfolio, as you mentioned, Rolex, Graf, Patek Philippe, Loewe, that gives comfort, I guess, to other brands. So it wasn't one day I woke up and I had all these brands. It really took time to build that portfolio.
Yeah. How many outlets and touch points do you have with consumers nowadays?
Well, look, we've been fortunate enough to double our store footprint, particularly in Kennedy, over the past 12 months. And that really is a direct result of our customer base and our demand for the product. So, whether it's expanding in the watch space, there's a plethora of brands that exist, and we continue to grow in that space. The last few that we opened an IWC and Panerai boutique in Collins Street in Melbourne. And we also opened a Kennedy boutique, which houses Rolex and Panerai in Chadstone, in Melbourne. And, in those cases, we really haven't missed a beat.
So was it a gamble, a big punt, linking Kennedy to the Spring Racing Carnival?
No, is the short answer.
This is your second year doing it?
Second year now,
okay.
Second year.
But your first year, did you think, was your heart in your throat when you did this, or you thought this is going to be definitely a winner?
Look, I don't want to say that I ever have doubts. You've always got to never run into anything thinking that it's a foregone conclusion. Look, I think there's such a great correlation between racing, affectionately known as the sport of kings, and that luxury space. Right. There's a glamour, there's a romance to racing and what we do, and a big part of what we do is around that customer engagement and the hospitality piece of, this is not just a naming sponsorship of Kennedy Oaks. There's quite a large hospitality piece that comes with it, with entertaining in the Flemington's Birdcage over the course of the week, so over 4 days, 150 customers a day, being able to engage with them, socialise with them, give them that that extra benefit, and I guess a thank you and that gratitude for being with us is really what it's all about.
How does the outlay translate into new customers? Because old customers would love you tucking into the birdcage, but how does it translate to new customers? Well,
look, it's worth mentioning that a significant portion of our business is repeat business. Now, as far as new customers go, sure, there is that brand awareness piece that's incredibly important, and obviously being a sponsor of such a major event on Melbourne's calendar, ticks that box for us. We see a lot in the way of website traffic, social media traffic, so there's obviously more engagement. We're a different type of business. You're not going to necessarily see an increase in foot traffic within our stores because of that exclusive, unique nature of our business, but we're being spoken about, we're being written about, and you align, I guess, what you're doing with the VRC and that sponsorship with sort of all that other above the line advertising you do or digital.
What about online sales?
Look, we're not in online sales. For me, it's very much about bricks and mortar, and we'll continue down that road. Our customers really are the ones telling us what they like and what they don't, and when you're buying in particular a timepiece, the sound it makes, the touch of the gold, the touch of the leather strap, how it looks. You know, the senses are incredibly important, and so, you know, having that engagement, someone who's going to come into a store and feel and touch it is important. And the other thing to mention as well is that, you know, the customer doesn't always know what they want. You know, they want to buy a watch, and then it's about, you know, a staff member or one of our associates being able to say, okay, do you wear suits? Do you wear jeans? You know, what are you wearing it for? How often do you want to wear it? So there's all these touch points that are incredibly important.
James, just the future, I want to ask you about that, but we are running out of time. But do you ever see this company listing? Do you see Kennedy on the stock market one day?
Oh, look, you never say never. It's not a goal for us right at the moment. Yep. We've got you know, some plans to open more boutiques over the coming sort of 3-4 years, and continue to expand that fashion division of ours with more licensing and distribution deals. So, you know, we'll continue to do that, focus on our customers, and you know, we'll see where the dust settles and see if maybe that might be an opportunity. It's been
a great story, and I know your father would be proud of what you've done.
Thank you.
Fantastic
Appreciate
work.
it. Thanks,
That's
Peter.
James Kennedy, who is the Chief Executive of the Kennedy Luxury Group. That's the show for tonight. Thanks for joining us. And, of course, if you want to catch up with what I think each morning, just go to switzer.com.au. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you next week.
This program brought to you by eChoice, helping thousands of Australians find the right home loan since 1998.